So in the skill practice tab of your digital journal, now it says I can, okay, don't worry about that right now. We're just going to practice some basic writing structure, literary analysis. So I'm going to throw up a short poem for you, very, very short. I'll go ahead and just drop a copy of this on Classroom so that you can see it. If you can't see it, some of you in the back may have a hard time seeing this. So I'll just stick it on the stream here. Here's the link to it. Oh, this is not 0A, is it? Let me fix that. 0B. My bad, y'all. Just if you need to look at it on your screen, I'm going to have it up here too. Okay. So, this is a poem by a guy named William Carlos Williams. A great name. I'm going to read it to you once, and then we'll talk about it. He says, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, in which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. Okay. What's your first thought? Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, I did the word icebox.
You thought it was weird that he used the word icebox?
I mean, I know that it's probably on both, but icebox.
I see it on a lot of your faces. You're like, so what? All right, this is weird. Okay. Okay, in your journal, in the skills section, you don't have to make this fancy. This is just practice. You're not turning this in for me, okay? You can make a literal column and a figurative column. Or you can stack them one on top of the other. Oops. So all I want us to do right now is think about what this literally says. Okay, no deeper meaning yet. What is this literally telling us? So if you start in the first stanza, what is he literally saying? What did he do? Yeah, he ate the plums that were in the refrigerator, right? So the narrator ate the plums in the icebox. What happens in the second stanza, which you were probably saving for breakfast? What's the literal meaning? They what?
They weren't there.
Yeah, okay. He ate plums that were not his and realizes the person probably would miss them, right? Would want them. Just giving a literal read of it. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. Well, the plums were good. They were good. He asked for forgiveness for eating them. That's it. Literal. Now, let's get a little deeper with it, okay? What you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me. They were delicious, so sweet and so cold. So if I were to ask you I'm just going to ask the big question. I'm not really going to lead up to it. If I were to say, what does this mean? Well, you could start by picking out maybe a symbol or two. The plums are a good place to start. Think about what could the plums represent. Is he really sorry? Look what he says right after he says he says, forgive me. They were delicious, so sweet and so cold. Think to yourself for a second. What does this poem mean? What are we supposed to take from it? What could the plums represent, you think? It's hard to be wrong. They didn't belong to the narrator. What do you think they could represent? Bradley?
Possibly a person, like a woman. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Keep thinking. What abstract? What feeling, maybe?
Someone's happiness.
Do what?
Someone's happiness.
So maybe they could represent happiness. What else? He thinks he's done something wrong, potentially. We don't know if he's really sorry or not. He says they were delicious, so sweet and so cold. What else could the plums represent? Think about humankind. We all have a plum.
Revenge.
Do what?
Revenge.
Maybe it's revenge. Here's what I'm thinking. The plums represent temptation, being tempted by something, right? It's not yours. Are you really sorry? After you have eaten those plums so sweet and so cold, they weren't yours, and you knew that she was saving them for breakfast. Who do we think she is? Or who is he talking to? Who's the narrator speaking to? I say she. I guess I shouldn't. I should let you think to yourself. You can't really be wrong. There's no concrete evidence. Go ahead. Okay. So you're putting a story around it. You're saying maybe Adam and Eve. So what you're telling me though is maybe this is his partner, right? Okay, so maybe it's his partner. We don't know for sure that it's Adam and Eve. I like your thought though. You're trying to make a connection between the plum and the apple. Hey.
If you have any of these kids in here right now, if you go ahead and pass them out, but if not, then
Okay.
first hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are the names on them?
No, like the student. Oh,
Do I do? So I do hand them out in this class?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a first hour. Okay. So we said maybe it's his partner, a roommate, someone he obviously lives with, right? So let's talk about theme, the meaning. Back to this question up here. What does it mean? So when you're trying to think of a theme, you can always start with a topic. And we do have the topic here of guilt, okay? But it's what we learn about guilt that becomes the theme. So I want you to think to yourself, what am I supposed to take from this? I'll give you an example. Sometimes, let me think. I'm trying to shorten it. So you could say, giving in to temptation is sometimes sweet and worth it. Right? Can you see that in the poem? I would speculate he's not very sorry. He says, forgive me. They were delicious. So sweet and so cold. He gives us 3 words here to describe those plums. I take a gander that our narrator is not very sorry that he ate this person's breakfast. This could be vengeful. Somebody said revenge. Right? It's all about the tone that you perceive from this. Some of you may think, I think he is really sorry. But you would have to prove it with the diction. The plums would be temptation. There's multiple steps here to get to the plums. You have to walk to the refrigerator, the ice box. You have to open the ice box. You have to give yourself access to the temptation. So could another theme be here that, there's multiple avenues to sin, to guilt. I use the word sin lightly. I don't necessarily mean in biblical sense, just doing wrong. Right? I like this poem. William Carlos Williams wrote this as a note to his wife and stuck it on the fridge and then published it. Just to be such a great poet that a note to a person becomes a famous poem. What do you think her reaction was? Yeah, I was going to eat those plums for breakfast. You dum-dum. That's probably the PG version, right? Okay. So what you would do, you would literally analyze it. You would figuratively analyze it. Think, what does this mean on a deeper level? Okay, this is where I want you to get. And then you would put it together in a piece of writing. Now, we've done, I've given you this basic model. Okay, we have assertion, we have evidence, and we have commentary. So here, I made an assertion while we were talking, and I said, I'm going to write it out as if I were writing an analysis. In the poem, this is just to say, by William Carlos Williams, the narrator is not sorry. Not deep enough. The narrator or the overall tone, I'm a little rusty, conveys that the narrator is not sorry he ate the plums, and that often temptation gets the better of us. I embedded a theme there, okay? I gave you a little bit of evidence, but I embedded a theme there. Often temptation gets the better of us. See how I did that? That would be my assertion. I'm asserting, okay, that he's not sorry, and I'm also asserting that temptation gets the better of us. Evidence would be straight from the poem, okay? So maybe I would list those words. I would say after he says, forgive me, he then describes, hard for me to see, the plums in 3 different adjectives. What was the first one? Delicious, sweet, cold. Now, it's not enough just to have evidence. So then I could say, obviously, if he were sorry, he would not rub it in his partner's face that he just ate her, I say her, I don't know, sweet or delicious or cold plums. That's my logic, that's my reasoning, it's my comment. You see that? Now this is just 3 sentences. This would be a very basic outline of how you would do a literary analysis. You would want to expand these sections, evidence and commentary. There should be twice as much commentary as evidence all the time. You should always have twice as much. We're going to get to that very soon. So if I were to add another sentence here, I could say the tone of satisfaction that is rampant in the text furthers this idea that the narrator is not really sorry. Okay. That's just off the cuff, no edit. I would probably fix a few things in that, but I might add this in here. That's just an example. Next time you write a note, bring it in and we'll analyze it for meaning. Kind of awkward to carry. I'd rather just hand these to you and you pass them around. I don't know how comfortable you all are with that. Picture Day Friday. Anybody else? Did I miss somebody? Extra? Thank you, ma'am. This poem is the epitome of sorry, not sorry. Okay, so that was just an activity. Number 1, to get you into some analysis this morning, and also to remind you of this process that we're going to be diving into very quickly soon, okay? All right. So we're going to start the pie. Let me drop it for you. Let's see, classwork. Annotating. It is a pair deck. We'll go through, actually this one is independent. All the pair decks are familiar with text. Give me just a second and I'll get you access to it. Okay, so this first lesson with the pie, we have 3 total. This is the first of 3. This one is student paced, which means you do this part independently. Okay, so you're going to read it yourself and annotate it, and the slideshow will walk you through what I want you to notice. Okay,